Episode number 158.
You can take these principles and build them into an app, and you can do A/B testing, what if analysis, like automatically, and you're getting in real-time data. And I know there's a lot of companies kind of in this space, but I think it's going to explode in Silicon Valley in the next decade.
Welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff, where we talk about life, dreams, social media, and business.
Well, hello and welcome to the Be Real Show with Travis Too Tall and Huff. Folks, I'm fired up today. You know, not every day you get fired up, but today I'm fired up. And I'm super pumped because I'm bringing you our featured guest today, Will Leach. William,
hey,
are you ready to be real?
I'm absolutely ready to be real, Travis. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. William is a best-selling author, the author behind Marketing to Mind States. And I'm really interested with that title. I love that title. As well as also he is a keynote speaker and the founder of TriggerPoint, which is a behavioral research and design consultancy. William, it's just been a pleasure having you on the show today. How's your day going today?
It is going incredibly well. You are the best part of my day today, I will tell you right up front, and looking forward to our next bit of time together.
Absolutely. So getting into marketing to mind states, because like you mentioned a little bit prior here, this book is really taking off for you. Can you give our listeners about who the audience is and what made you write it?
Yeah, it really started a couple of years ago. So I come from traditional marketing research background. I worked in biotech and I worked in energy for a while, but I found my way over to PepsiCo. And when I was over at PepsiCo doing classic consumer marketing research, and what we would do is we would do like work with anthropologists and we do work with, implicit association and neuroscientists. And what happened was this back probably in 2009, 2010, we would give these results over to agencies, marketing agencies, and we found that there's like just something lost in translation. Like we're speaking two different languages. And so it was there where I started thinking, there's this world out there of understanding non-conscious and all these factors that influence us non-consciously and subconsciously, but yet we don't really know how to apply it. So coming back into real time, about a year ago, I'm sitting at a conference and I was asked to sit at a table and talk about behavioral design, which I talk about in the book. And it's this idea of designing for the non-conscious, messaging to the non-conscious. And I sit around this table and my table gets bigger. And I said, okay, guys, I'm here to talk about this idea around behavioral design. So first off, let's talk about what kind of books are you guys reading? And then all of a sudden somebody raises their hand and she says, what is behavioral design? I said, now that's a great question. So I kind of talked a little bit about, designing for the non-conscious. And then I said, okay, so now that we kind of have a definition, so what kind of books are you guys reading? And nobody raised a hand. And I thought to myself, there is something still wrong in that all these, sciences are out there to understand, human behavior, but yet there's nothing written about it. And so I saw the opportunity, and it's my passion, it's my love. And so what I did was I wrote it for the common man. I didn't want to write a book for cognitive psychologists. I think I even said in the book, if this is not the kind of book, if you're trying to earn a PhD in this stuff, right? I wanted to write it for a real estate agent. I wanted to write it for the small business who really just wants to understand how to take their marketing to the next level. And so that's who I wrote it for: creative planners, our creative directors, planners, and marketers, frankly.
Wow. And so then after that meeting, then you just felt like this is my time. This is my calling, maybe, to bring this knowledge that I have and my passion.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and absolutely. I left PepsiCo because of that. So I was at PepsiCo doing great. And it was just this moment where, in corporate America, they tell you, okay, so next week, I was running this behavioral science thing, right? And this capability. And I was fascinated. I couldn't stop reading about this stuff. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And all of a sudden, just like in anything else, a company wants to move you. And they wanted me to kind of think about taking a position at Quaker Oats, right? I'm like, I'm not going to start selling oatmeal. And so the passion started there. And then that day in that conference, it was just like, somebody has to do this. And it's, if not me, who?
Wow. And so in the process of writing, because I'm so curious about this, and I'm sure our listeners, might have a passion that they're, educating their customers about, but they've never written a book. What was that first step to getting to write the book? Because I know that's a big step. I mean, to get actually the pen and pad out, or you get the Word doc out, or whatever it is, and you start putting some words on the paper.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the first step was just getting off my ass to actually do it. And so here's why. Even back when I was over PepsiCo, we all have a book in our heads, right? Most of us do, anyways. You have this idea that you always wanted to write a book about, and I'll tell you, I could look back and look at Excel sheets and Word documents where I tried to create chapter titles and all that stuff, and I can look back even almost a decade ago where I tried to start this idea, but it never took it anywhere, right? You write the name, you just spend so much time focused on the name of the book, or maybe like, okay, here's my dedication, and I had some chapter outlines, and nothing really took hold. And finally, I started thinking just like a businessman. I said, you know what? For things that I'm not good at, which is writing, my grammar's horrible. Like, I love the science, but I don't know how to write a book. So I went out, I started thinking, what do companies do when they don't know how to do something? They outsource it. That's the American way. Yeah. And so I outsourced it. So what I did was I hired a company to focus me and actually put consequences down in place if I don't actually write the book. So it's a great company called Scribe. And what they did was they basically brought people together who understand how to take a book that's in your head, structure it, and then actually help write it. So they're guiding you through the whole process. And it made all the difference. Outsource things that you're not good at, give it to somebody who is, and then they forced accountability. And that's what it comes down to. You're not really accountable if you're doing it at night at 10 o'clock at night. You're accountable when you have a meeting set up every week to talk to your editor.
Got you. And so they're helping you kind of work through the next step.
Yep, absolutely.
The next step. So then you got the book finished, right?
Yep.
Now, are you self-publishing the book, or is it something that you actually have a publisher?
Nope, it's published. It's published through the same company. Yep. So it's that's why I think what's helped, man, because they know what they're doing. They keep you accountable, and you know what's great about kind of publishers too is that they can save you from yourself. So if you have a listener out there who's thinking themselves, you know, I got a book and I have this idea. What's great about not self-publishing is that their publishers know kind of what sells, and sometimes you get too much in your head, right, Travis? So the idea is that you start thinking like there's great stories that you want to put out there, and they save you from yourself. So in the book, I had this one story about me joining the Army. And it was I thought it was a really important concept to bring out because my book is written with a lot of personal stories on how this stuff has influenced me. And they saved me from myself. It's like, you know, I know you think this is a great story, Will, but it's actually not doing what you think it's doing. So that's another great thing is to have a publisher that can do this work for you to save you from yourself. Because you think every idea is great. And you need some third-party perspective for them to basically tell you you're not nearly as great as you think you are. And it made all the difference. Like the book is doing well because they were able to cut bad parts out of the book that just didn't make sense.
Right. And keep it concise to what you were trying to convey.
Yep.
Which is hard to do sometimes on your own. I know myself. That's amazing. That is amazing. So then also leading into your business, TriggerPoints, where you're also helping businesses and brands with behavioral research as well as some design elements. Mm-hmm. Who is your main focus with that? What kind of businesses do you like to work with, or do you prefer to work with?
Yeah, so the company started off really focused on consumer packaged goods companies, right? Oh, okay. Toothpaste manufacturers, chip makers, beverages, all that kind of stuff, because that's the world I came from in PepsiCo. But you know, it's funny where I think real momentum is building in this space. And so, you know, just behavioral research, behavioral design, Rick, really understanding non-conscious has really, I would say, has been popularized only a decade, which is nothing. In business world, it's nothing, a decade. I mean, there's still so many companies out there, big companies, in fact, that just have no idea about the power of behavioral design and designing for the non-conscious. So I'm in CPG. I came from that space. And so that's just naturally where I gravitated towards. And people kind of knew me from the industry. But the real momentum is really happening, I think, in healthcare and financial services. And it's really because of academics. So all this stuff that you read about in the book and all the stuff that we'll talk about today, it's all in academia. Like it's at Stanford, it's in Harvard. All these professors are doing work in this space. However, you know, where the money for their funding is coming from healthcare and financial services. So whether it's pharma, whether it's insurance, it's all kind of in that space. And so we're actually starting to move the company in that space because it's just naturally coming out. So we're just expanding well outside of CPG and into those industries. And the place where I think it really needs to be, and it hasn't really taken off yet, would be Silicon Valley, right? App design, website design, all that. That's where these things matter the most, because you can take these principles and build them into an app, and you can do A/B testing, what if analysis, like automatically, and you're getting in real-time data. And I know there's a lot of companies kind of in this space, but I think it's going to explode in Silicon Valley in the next decade.
So that's the next big one right there, is working with Facebook and working with Instagram. And or the next big startup. You know,
That's right. The ones we don't know about.
The ones that are in a garage right now, they're grinding.
Mm-hmm.
So say someone is listening, they haven't got the book yet, but they're planning to, but because you piqued their interest, and they're looking at their business and saying, marketing to the non-conscious. I mean, man, William, this is crazy. How do I do this? You know, what is the first step to understanding, you know, your consumer's non-conscious or your consumer's behavior? Where do you usually take the first step in helping people like get that going?
Yeah. So it's the first thing I would tell you is this. I talk about this in a college class that I teach. So it has to be beyond piquing your interest, right? So let me just throw out a stat. So research will tell you that you make about 35,000 decisions on any given day, like 35,000. Wow. The vast majority of those decisions are obviously at the non-conscious, right? Because you couldn't possibly do what if analysis on every single one of your decisions. Right. Because of that, your mind has created this really sophisticated psychological filter that is filtering the vast majority of all marketing, regardless of whether you're a real estate agent or you're at a local tavern trying to promote your business to the biggest Coca-Colas of the world, right? The vast majority of marketing never reaches the human mind because it's all being filtered. So the first thing is wrapping your head around of all your spend and all of your messages. The vast majority of your clients and the vast majority of your customers never see it. Never listen. Once that happens, okay, so why is that? It's this non-conscious filter. The next question you should be asking is, well, how do I get through this filter? If it's filtering all my messages out, how do I make my spend better? Right. That's where we want to focus on. And that turns into 4 easy to kind of understand and 4 different factors that you want to design around that the book tells you about. But it's basically understanding your customers' goals, which are functional goals and higher order goals. After that, what motivates them to reach their goals? That's motivational psychology. The third factor you'll read about in the book is called regulatory fit. But just think about the way we approach our goals. And there's only 2 ways that we approach all of our goals. And the last one is called cognitive heuristics. So it's basically these shortcuts. Like, how do you make decisions quickly? And these are all non-conscious, all 4 of these factors. But when you read the book, it's put together in a very practical way, because I didn't want to write it for the scientists. I wanted to write it for people that have never heard of this stuff before, because I feel like that's how I was a couple of years ago. So I use a lot of personal examples about, like, how do I get my kid, Nick, to eat vegetables? Yeah. I talk about my decision in college and which college to go to. I think about, like, the whole book starts off with my son being born and how I'm in this crazy mind state and how that influenced a very important decision that I just made without asking anybody, which is very different than the person I am. So ultimately, you got to realize it's important to understand the non-conscious. After that, it's 4 easy steps. And the book actually ends up being like a choose your own adventure, if you will, because my kid's writing, my son Nick is writing a little bit more around choose your own adventure. So I kind of had this idea of, if I walked you through towards the end of the book, choosing your own adventure, it'll tell you, go to this page, and this is now how you want to market to your customers.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. So it's very tactical too. So someone can take this book and actually start applying it today. I'm interested because it's now you're bringing in your family, because that's a big part then. It's as far as your inspiration and as far as your stories and as far as how you're using your behavioral or non-conscious maybe adaptations to help your kid eat veggies, for instance.
That's it. You want to make it as practical. We all have family members, right? We all have families. And so I thought to myself, how can I relate? You may not be able to relate to me as a behavioral scientist at PepsiCo, but damn it, everybody can relate to being a first-time dad, or anybody can relate to trying to finish a triathlon or trying to finish an event and failing. And so I talk about weight loss and things like that just to make it more relatable. And so far, that's what people appreciate the most, is that it's just relatable. It's not too heady, because it doesn't have to be. I think there's so much mystique and stigma around non-conscious and subconscious and all those types of things. Guy, it's so funny. It's so natural when you look at these concepts, like, oh God, of course we do that. And so that's why I try to do in my book, is show that we're all doing this stuff. We just didn't have a science behind it. Now we do.
Right. And now not to overthink it too, it sounds like, because it sounds like a lot of the, and reading lots of different books and stuff like that. Some of these people are just way over the top, I mean, it's like they're telling you a book about ClickFunnels or about funnel marketing. Yeah. And it's like this stuff, excuse my French, this shit is too complicated.
Mm-hmm. Small tweaks.
And it makes it where you just give up.
Yep. No, this stuff should be small tweaks to what you're normally doing. Like I talk about small little things, like even on a coupon, I'll talk about in the book around this idea of changing the words from, let's say if you had a coupon, save $1,
Right.
versus get $1 off. A small little tweak like that can actually have pretty big ramifications depending on the mind state that somebody's under when they're looking at your messaging. I'm like, that should be easy. You don't have to understand all the non-conscious factors on why that works. What you do need to know is put on your coupon or on your website, get $1 off versus save $1. That's easy, man. And then that stuff is actually applicable. You take the book, you walk away, and you should start seeing some improvement on marketing relatively fast.
Wow. And as far as where people can get the book, is it on Amazon and all places out there?
It is. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and we're thinking about Audible. I don't know. I'm not sure. I talk fast, you can tell. So I have some people saying, I'm not going to ever take in this book unless I get some Audible, but I'm debating whether we're going to do that or not. But it's all Amazon's the big place, of course. Everything is on Amazon.
Absolutely. So we'll put that in the show notes as well. And also, I would say I love Audible too. So I know you talk fast, but if someone's worried about that, they just have to slow it down. Slow it down. Go to 0.5. Because some people on the Audible speak too slow, and so I like it the 1.5 or 2. Because you can get through books a little faster. The reason why I personally love it is I go to the gym when I'm driving, places where I can't be reading a book. And I also just with my buddies, some of my friends from college and stuff, we kind of keep each other up with what we're reading. And it's just interesting because there's so many books out there. And to physically be working and reading is almost impossible. So it's just nice, now this new world, so shout out to Audible and shout out to Amazon too, man, just for making books easy. Now we're about to take you to our top 10 right now.
All right.
Let's get into it. Apple or Android?
Oh, Apple.
Nice. Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix all the way.
Yeah. Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
Chicken steak or fish?
Oh, I'm from Texas. Chicken,
baby.
of course.
Laptop or iPhone?
I'm going to stick with the iPhone, though. I'm telling you that it's hard to get away from that laptop, but we got to migrate.
Yeah, and the cool thing is it's like how much you can get done on these iPhones now these days.
Oh, no.
It's amazing. Spotify or Pandora?
Spotify. Love it.
Movies or video games?
Man, that's a tough one. I'm going to say movies because I'm still classic Gen X, but the boy is all into video games, so I'm starting to migrate over to the video games. Got to make that connection.
Are you playing with your son here and there on a few games?
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
We are. Yep.
Well, they're saying lots of more stuff about video games, and your cognition and your critical thinking.
I talk a lot about that.
Yep. So it's not necessarily bad. I mean, it's just a change of mindset. Reading books or listening to books?
Reading books. I'm still a guy who needs to read and write.
The physical. Stocks, crypto, or real estate?
Real estate. I'm classic.
Nice. Oceans or lakes?
Lakes. Texas boy.
Yeah. So now we're going to get a little more into your mindset. When you wake up in the morning, you're brushing your teeth, you're getting ready, why do you love being you?
Ooh, that is a great question. You know what? I'll tell you, I love being me when I look in the mirror because I sometimes feel like that I have this idea, this marketing to mind states, and this idea that I'm trying to change an industry of marketing that's been traditionally bad. And I feel like that's a calling. And even better than that, I got a very supportive family, an awesome wife who is also kind of look at her in the mirror and I'm thinking to myself, how did I get this lucky for a woman who is impassioned as much as I am, not because she's passionate about my passion, but she's passionate to see her husband with a passion. So I'm happy to be me because I have a passion. I got a wife who supports the hell out of it.
That's amazing, brother. And like you said, I mean, the marketing world is so big. I mean, what's spent on digital advertising when I started this business 10 years ago has gone up and up and up and up. Yeah. But people are still not doing it right. And we're all making mistakes and we all need to learn because our ad spend could be a little bit better. Like you just said, just a little tweak of saying, instead of saying save $1 or save $50, say get $50 off your purchase. I mean, these things are little tweaks. It's not crazy. So then after a long day of work and you're wiped out, you get home, what is one of your favorite meals?
Wow. You know what? I am still really into chili. If you can imagine, especially this time of year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have a very specific chili recipe that I like. So when times are tough, that's my wife ends up doing the chili with some cornbread in there too. So that's my thing.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And then also this year, it's a new year. Do you have a skill that you're looking to master? Is there something you're working at to get better at?
Yeah, you know what? Of all things, and it's more about the family here. But this podcasting, if you can imagine, I just started getting into
Yes.
podcasting just recently, and my wife is really into podcasting. So I think I'm going to learn that with her. Not sure what I'm going to do with that, but I love this whole new medium and channel to reach people in a way that's never been around or not very long anyway. So I think that's going to be kind of one of the big focus things this year, just trying to understand this whole world of podcasting.
Absolutely. One of the best investments I ever made. Simplest, best investment was a Rode mic, RODE.
All right.
Microphone. And it can be USB. You can plug it into a lot of different things, but it's the microphone. It's a simple mic, $70, $100 microphone. And then you got a podcast. That's all it is. Just a good microphone. And then the second is having a good connection. Because when I first interviewed people, it was on Skype. And I'm sure you maybe have been on Skype or not. It's kind of sketchy. Things like all of a sudden like disconnect and things. And then Zoom came along. And when Zoom came along for whatever it is, $10 a month, you can guarantee yourself a really good quality connection. And that's all you need. I mean, that's literally all you need to have a podcast. And that
Thank you.
It's amazing to think. I mean, obviously there are some further steps to distribution through Libsyn or places like that where they can get you on all the main platforms very easily, but literally it's just a mic, your time, and then the best thing I love now is getting to meet people I would never meet in the world, and getting some insight from them, and also trying to go out and interview my heroes, and that it's sometimes obviously most of them aren't going to get back to you, but then here and there've been a few that I never thought I'd be able to interview. And so
I'm realizing that right now with some of my heroes with books, the vast majority don't ever want it, but every so often somebody, one of your heroes will say, I want to talk. And that's just happened last week. As a matter of fact, I thought, man, that is cool. It's a cool feeling when you could talk to your hero and learn something from him. So I'm with you.
It's a little intimidating because there's some people you've maybe watched tons of interviews on or heard about. And then, you can be a little sweaty palms, but the cool thing is, hey, you're behind a microphone. Yeah. You listen because I think the one thing I've learned about podcast interviewing for me is it teaches you really to be a good listener. And it flows through to my personal life,
like that.
It's like, I'm like you, I like to talk a lot, I'll just be sitting there talking, but you really learn a lot when you just sit back and then take notes, because I find myself taking good notes from all the people that I've interviewed. I've got pages of notes to look at. Do you have a favorite app or a podcast that you like listening to?
Yeah, I'm kind of, in terms of podcasts, I'm all over the board right now. There's a couple of where I like some of the podcasts that take authors from lots of different genres, like you said, just to learn. And so there's this one podcast, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's the whole format is I'm just going to talk to an author and then talk about their book for like 20 minutes. I love that because I'm learning things around fishing, and then the next day it's about motivational speaking. I was like, that's a really interesting podcast. And I'm more traditional on the apps. Right now, Spotify is a major. When I'm doing a couple of these meditation apps, just trying to get in, like everyone talks about meditation. I'm not into it yet, but people talk about these apps that help you meditate and kind of focus. So those are kind of some things that I'm playing with right now.
Are you downloading Calm, or which one?
That's it. Calm is the one. That's Calm's the one. That's the major one that everyone's using right now.
It's real simple and easy.
Yep.
There's Headspace and there's a lot further ones, but Calm is really good. And honestly, I think the biggest thing about meditation as a business owner, and I've been doing it maybe for 4 or 5 years now, not consistently, but I sometimes will take a bath and relax if I've had like a sore body from workouts or whatever, and and just throw on I like the loving kindness one, because it's like about loving yourself, spreading love to the world. And honestly, the truth is, it just gives you a little time by yourself. It's really just that quiet time in your head where, like you said, we have 35,000, possible decisions we're making, consciously or non-consciously, obviously. And this is like your time to just relax, and it brings you a lot of clarity.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's any book you read nowadays with the biggest billionaires in the world, it comes up again and again, Travis. They always say, what's the number one reason why you are where you are today? They always say the same thing. it's that time away. It's that meditation. They may call it different things, but it is starting your day with clarity. And, I struggle with that as well. I mean, I get up and I want to rock and I want to go.
Yes.
But all the time, they all say the same thing. It's the number one reason why I'm successful is because of meditation or prayer or quiet time. So we just got to get smarter about that and better habit.
Yeah. Make it the real, make it the real thing before we jump on our emails and all the other fighting the fires we got in our day. It's that me time. And a lot of them that I found too with the show is that they're getting some sort of activity in the morning. Activity combined with a quiet time or prayer or affirmations. But now I have a question for you. Today for lunch, if you could take anyone out to where's the Pecan Lodge out there in Dallas?
I love that. Yes.
Anyone in the world you could sit down for lunch with today, who would it be?
Man, right now I'm fascinated with Bill Murray.
Oh yeah,
I'm just fascinated by the guy. I was on a plane ride last night, and they have Netflix. They have a Bill Murray documentary, and so when he got off, I started talking about it because I'm just fascinated by that guy. So there's a book called The Tao of Bill Murray, and right now, you got to be careful with the guy, right? Because there's more and more. If you overextend yourself to Bill, he doesn't appreciate that. But just being as real, and he is so much in the moment. If you know anything about him, he is so into realizing the power of right now, not tomorrow, not thinking about the past, but right now, that he's intimidating as hell because of that. But man, Bill Murray would have to be at Pecan Lodge. That's right.
That would be awesome. And he's a huge Chicago fan, right? Huge Chicago Cubs fan.
Oh, yeah.
Now, also, can you share with us, is there a book outside of yours, which has changed your life because it's taken off?
Yeah, I talk about it in my book. I think it's Predictably Irrational. It's a book by Dan Ariely. It's kind of dated now, but that's the book where it's about a decade old. Maybe it was a little more than a decade ago, where he popularized this idea that we are predictably irrational, meaning that we have all these irrational decision-making processes, but they're predictable. So he's kind of not the father of behavioral economics, but he popularized it. And because of him, I'm sitting in bed. I have it in my book. I think I do, anyways. Where it's 2:30 at night or in the morning, and I'm just reading this thing. I could not let this book down, and it changed everything I thought. Because I'm an economist by trade, right? So I was into economics and utility theory and all that stuff. And that book absolutely wiped away. I wish it would have wiped away my student loans, but it wiped away all everything I learned in college about how people decide cost benefit analyses and stuff like that. It takes it away. And so if you want to, any guys out there want to learn, it's I'm not so sure about this marketing mindset. It's why should I believe Will? Read Predictably Irrational, because that book absolutely changed my life. And you will hear that again and again. And lots of different people in my space, they'll say, what was it? What was that book? And a bunch of them will always go to Predictably Irrational.
Wow. We're going to definitely put that in the show notes.
Yeah.
So then also, do you have a favorite show or something to do at night that you like to do with the fam?
Yeah, right now we're getting back into Game of Thrones, because the new season comes out, so we're binge watching that. Of course, we've already watched it all, but now it's coming out. So we are spending our, at least both the wife and I. The boy does not watch Game of Thrones, so once he goes down, it's a Game of Thrones night pretty much every night.
That's awesome. You guys have your little routine. It's like your own little date night every night.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome, brother. Well, hey, I just want you to know that I definitely appreciate your energy and positivity as well as what you're bringing to the world. I think that it's only going to get bigger and bigger for you. And I'm excited to add the marketing to mind states to my little Amazon list here. I always have a little Amazon basket going, and that's going to be one new one in the basket. But I really just want to thank you again for being on the show today, folks. You are hanging out with William Leach and Travis Too Tall and Huff. I want to thank you again for your time today, and let's keep being real. What another epic episode. And if you enjoyed the episode today, can you please do me a favor and subscribe to our podcast, The Be Real Show, on iTunes or your favorite podcast platform, and also take a little time today, if you don't mind, and give your boy T Huff a review. I would really super appreciate it, and thank you so much for listening today.